Hello everyone, Kevin Ikov here from Kevin Ikov Ministries. Today I'm continuing to answer questions from a fellow subscriber. And today's question is, what do you believe happens after we leave our body in between incarnations? It seems many gurus and teachers have many different ideas on it. Is it possible to know what the afterlife is like, or is it supposed to be a mystery? No one can truly say what happens to us after death. And that's why there's so much different opinions and ideas on it. What I will say to you is look to those who have passed, look to those who have basically died, physically died, they were declared dead, and experienced something and then returned back into the body. They experienced something, they saw something. Those things are real. You'll have scientists say, well, that was some chemical reaction that was still left and some neurological response that was still there, and they really didn't experience this afterlife or anything like that. In order to really know the afterlife and those realms, you're dealing with several different kinds of areas to study and research and look at. One is of mediumship or spirituality, and there's books and there's things written on this, and you can delve into those and do your own research into seeing that different people that have left in different areas and have come back, and they all say the same thing. If everybody's going and experience the same kind of thing, and one person's from China, one person's from New York, another person's from England or Russia or wherever, and they're experiencing the same kind of things in these near-death experiences, as they like to be called, or have come back after being declared dead, and they're saying they're seeing the same things, then that is your scientific proof. That is the way you can know if that realm exists, if that thing was possible. That's some clue into what the afterlife is like. Some of the things that mediums and other people will do in either drawing down energy, and some will say they're speaking through an angel and all this kind of stuff. Some of these things that are investigated much more so from, I would have to say, an intense spiritual mediumship that's evidence-based, because you want it to be evidence-based, meaning that you can pinpoint to certain things and those people realize this person is accurate about what they're saying because they're able to pinpoint a specific thing. This is something like, for example, a mediumship, she goes in and she's doing work in someone who has passed away and you were very close to them, and she pinpoints something that no one else could know that. No one else could know that but you. And yet that medium is discovering that and pointing that out. That's evidence-based. She is pointing to something that only that person shared with you in your lifetime, and the medium is able to focus in on that. That's evidence-based. And does that mean someone can speak from that other realm? Yes, it does. Because we have more than one body. We only ever see that physical, but we have other bodies. Masters can come to you in an astral body. Once they pass away, like Jesus can come anytime he chooses if you call upon him. Buddha can come anytime he chooses if you call upon him. Shiva Bala Yogi, Neem Karoli Baba, many other masters. When you call upon them, they can come to you. But you have to call upon them with an open heart. And it has to be something that you're doing in which there can't be any closure of any type. And there can't be some kind of gain, even spiritual gain per se. When you're calling upon them for help to do something spiritually, it may not be time for you to do that spiritually. You know, even though you think it's time, it may not be time. They will come when the time is necessary, and that it sort of commands its own self, in that this person's ready and it's time to kind of move on, and they're struggling with that. Lots of times that guru or master or God or goddess or nature will unfold something that you weren't seeing before, and all of a sudden now you're seeing it. And so why weren't you seeing it before? You weren't seeing it before because the ego is clouding that. The ego is making it so you can't see what it is you truly need to see spiritually. And so you could say, like, it could be there one day and not the day before. It's that simple. And it just can open up like a door that was closed before and you could not see. And the best way you can sort of deal with some of this stuff is that you have to kind of go and look outside of who you are as that individual. Because the more you look at the body and that bodily form, which you are not that bodily form. You believe you are, you think you are, that's the illusion. The illusion is that you are that when you are not that. This is just like a car. You were given a car by God, and that car has a name, and whatever your name is, John, Jane, whatever that name is, that's what you identify yourself as. I'm John, I'm Jane, I'm this, I'm that. You're none of that. You are that inner soul core. And trying to connect to that inner soul core is not always the easiest thing, because to say I'm deleting that ego, I'm getting rid of that ego. The thing is if you're in deep meditation, there is no ego in that meditation. You are in a deep, deep state of nirvana. You are in a deep, deep state of practice. As soon as you open your eyes, you're back in the world and you're back experiencing all these things here. And so that's the incoming thoughts of the ego coming right back in as soon as you open your eyes. Because the less stimulation you have going in is how deep you will go. Because they talk about the withdrawal from all of the organ senses. Well, that's touch, that's feel, that's sight, that's sound. That's all of your organ senses. That's what they're talking about withdrawing from. So when you go into a deep meditation, you're withdrawing from all those organ senses. The further you withdraw from those sense organs, the deeper you shall go. And the thing is to stay disconnected from all those organ senses and then open the eyes and you're still there. And the ego has not come back in. That would be known as self-realization. You are no longer connected to that. And anything that happens action-wise to you at that point, no matter what that action is, you may see the action, but you are not directly experiencing that action. You're involved in the action, but you're not really involved. You're witnessing the action. You're witnessing what's occurring, but you are no longer emotionally connected to it because you realize you are not that. You are not that body. You are not those thoughts. You are none of that. That takes time. That takes time, and it's not necessarily such an easy state to maintain, especially in this world, because once you come back out of it, you're going to want to do something. And so staying in that state can be a difficult thing. The reason that different masters say there are so many different types of incarnations and different things is because it's based off of their own experience. And again, I say, their own experiences. And how many experiences are there? There are as many experiences as there are grains of sand on every beach in this world. And that's how many gods there are too. It's so many, you can't just pin it down to one set of experiences or understandings. It's a multitude of understandings. But the thing is, to understand here, it's about giving up all of your connection to those ego sources. And even though this may not make tremendous sense, those ego sources are the things connected with your own senses. Sense of sight, sense of sound, sense of smell, sense of taste. These are all connected. And you could think, well, it's not really ego, but it is. If you eat like a sandwich, peanut butter sandwich, and I just feel that. So that's ego. That's ego in eating that. Because what would be non-ego in eating? You would just eat for living. You wouldn't be eating for satisfaction. Most people here eat just for satisfaction. Just think about that alone. How to eliminate that? Well, that's part of that level of nirvana, enlightenment, self-realization. That's all part of it, and letting that go. That's sense organs. Get rid of that sense organ. And so your work is in letting that happen and having that happen. And it can take lifetimes to develop that. Lifetimes to develop that. It doesn't just go away just that quickly. Especially if we enjoy things in our life. You think about it. You think about just foods alone. Just think about the foods that you enjoy and don't enjoy. Not enjoying it is just as much of ego as enjoying it. It's all ego related. The thing is if you really were at that high level, it wouldn't matter what you ate. It would make no difference. You're just eating to survive. There are masters I've met that just gain their energy off of the sun or off of the air. I met the man who gained his energy. He just looked at the sun every day for a period of time. This man did not eat, did not drink. And I believe he's working with NASA doing studies. And so, the thing is, all these things are possible. And it will start to unfold and manifest more and more and more into daily life. You will start to see it. You will start to see these individuals' development, especially as we move into this more modern technological age, because that's a form of the outer consciousness that is coming from the development of the inner consciousness. Because just as they say, what's above is also below. And so consciousness that's starting to develop into sort of something from what I would refer to as the 100th monkey theory, that the 100th monkey theory is once you reach that number, consciousness changes itself. And when that number is reached, and we are seeing it, we're seeing it in society now with some of the technological advances that we have. This is the advancement of consciousness, but you have to look at it closely. And you have to look at it discriminatively. And so it's not so much about worrying about where you are or how far you are. It's just about doing the daily work. And it's about just developing good habits, good things, doing good works, doing good things for people, helping others, developing kindness, developing compassion, developing happiness. These things are all part of that upper evolution in spirituality. And so I do hope this helps answer this question somewhat. Where do we go when we leave our bodies? Does it really matter? I can give you projections of what happens and where we go and what we do, but does it really matter? What really matters is that you do the good spiritual work here. It doesn't matter how many times It doesn't matter how many bodies. It doesn't matter any of that, because, as they would say, God blinks his eye and 2,000 years has gone by in the blink of an eye. The thing is, you're connected with time and time constraints and ego. And it's very hard to describe something that's non-egotistical to someone who is coming from an egotistical world and state of mind. And to describe that, to say, I'm going to explain it to you, it's really quite impossible almost to explain non-ego to an egotistical person, because the answer has to come in some egotistical form to them. That's the best way I can kind of put it. And so you will never really quite get it, because you have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to do the practice. You have to have consistency. You have to work at it all the time. You can't just do it one day and stop the next and say, I'll pick it up the following day. It's not how it works. It's a constant effort and work in progress all the time. And just to say this, as far as where do you go, I will say this to that. Where can you not go? There's a big, big universe out there. And there's all kinds of planets, and there's all kinds of places that you can go and that can be discussed. But there's no sense discussing any of them as long as you remain fixed in the ego and fixed in the body. And with that being said, I hope this gives you some explanation and understanding of this. These are difficult subjects and difficult things to understand. I hope this gives you some insight. With that being said, I wish you well. Jai Bhagwan. Namaste. May you see the light within yourself and within all others.